guys, I'm Ozzy the Horror Cub. Take a trip with me to Haddonfield because it's time to review Halloween 5. Let's get into it. Released in 1989 and directed by Dominic Othman-Gerard, this film would see the continuation of Michael Myers stalking his niece throughout Haddonfield. There would be a one-year gap between the two movies. Mustafa Akkad, the executive producer behind the Halloween franchise, who really did start to take control of the property, really did rush the production of Halloween 5. Halloween 4 hadn't even come out on video yet, and yet they were already going with Halloween 5 to the box office. The turnaround was so fast. And I think because of that, we get the script issues that we get with Halloween 5. People are gonna blame Halloween 5 for ruining the Halloween franchise. This is the movie that introduces the Cult of Thorn, essentially. This is what makes everything happen in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, so convoluted, is because everything had to be explained from this movie. Michael has an ominous new tattoo. We later find out in part 6, it's the Cult of Thorn. There's a man in black walking through Haddonfield. We later find out in part 6 that this is the cult leader that's controlling Michael. However, at the time of this film, nobody knew any of this. Dominic Othman-Gerard was just going in, rewriting the script, and he had his own vision of how he wanted this movie to be. They had to figure out how they were going to follow up that amazing cliffhanger from part 4. Jamie standing at the top of the staircase as she's just killed her stepmother, or so we thought. She's injured her stepmother, she never killed her. But we later find out in this film that there is a psychic connection between Michael Myers and Jamie. And it's through this psychic connection that Jamie is able to communicate where Michael is in Haddonfield. However, communication's gonna be a problem because they chose to make her mute in this movie. This is your final girl, and she doesn't say a word for basically half the movie. She's just moaning and groaning, and she's relying on Billy, her friend at the children's hospital, because that's where Jamie's been committed after the events of Halloween 4, into a psychiatric children's hospital. Her friend Billy is trying to help her, but he stutters. He can't really communicate what she's saying. Cookie Woman comes to mind. There's some hilarious scenes in this movie because of that. I just think they could have done without it. I'm fine with them having a psychic connection, because if you read Taking Shape, they were going to go into a whole different direction with this movie. One of the original scripts that they were going to do for Halloween 5, before Dominic Othman-Gerard threw it in the garbage and decided to write his own script, they were going to go with Jamie having powers like telekinesis and multiple different Michael Myers. It would have been some Friday the 13th Part 7 level shit. Like, it would have been crazy, but I don't think that would have been the Halloween brand. What I think was clever though with those original scripts was, it followed up on the exact same night as Halloween 4, so it almost acted like how Part 2 acted to Part 1, a direct continuation. This film opens almost like it's that direct continuation. You're getting that highway chase scene before they send Michael Myers down that mine shaft and throw a stick of dynamite in for good measure. Now, this is one scene that I absolutely hate. I'm fine with you going back to Halloween 4 and showing us how Michael escaped that mine, but to see Michael Myers floating, bobbing in the water as the Halloween theme is playing, I just think it takes away and minimalizes the scariness of the boogeyman. I really don't think we needed to see that. Then we get to this whole thing where he's gonna kill this homeless man in this shack. Homeless man takes care of Michael for the next year because as he tries to attack him, Michael just passes out. He's had enough for the night. Halloween has just run its course for him. This guy literally takes care of Michael for a year with no questions asked as Michael is back in this like catatonic state, and then this guy ends up dead. Like, literally, if a mass murderer comes to your house and he's like draped in blood and he tries to choke you, I don't care how freaky he is, that guy needs to go. What were you doing with this guy just sleeping in your room for like 364 days? It was like a shack. It was like a 300-foot shack. I don't know. Danielle Harris is back in this movie as Jamie Lloyd, the niece of Michael Myers. However, I feel because she's mute in this movie and she can't communicate with everyone, a lot of Jamie's character is lost in this movie. Ellie Cornell, back in this movie as Rachel Carruthers. Love, love, love me some Ellie Cornell. Love Rachel Carruthers. Rachel is one of the ultimate final girls. Halloween 4, she really does prove herself, and in this movie, they kill her off within like the first 15 minutes to prove that anybody could go at any given time. And then we're introduced to a character like Tina, and you're either gonna love Tina or you're gonna hate Tina. There is no in between. What Dominic Othman-Gerard was trying to do, and I kind of see this now looking back at the franchise, up until this point, you follow a final girl. You follow a virginal person that doesn't like to party, shy, reserved, very Laurie Strode, very Rachel Carruthers. This movie though, you're following a character like Tina. Tina is very like the Annie Brackett or the Linda type character from the original Halloween. They're the party girl. They just want to have fun on Halloween. So it's different to follow somebody of that perspective throughout Haddonfield. It really does change up the flow of the movie. However, Tina is just annoying as hell, and you're either gonna love her or you're gonna hate her. The more I watch this movie, the more Tina does grow on me, the more I do feel like she does care about Jamie. But the thing is, Tina should have died first. Rachel should have been saved to the very end of the movie. How dare you kill off Rachel? Hashtag justice for Rachel. Hashtag it should have been Tina. Dr. Loomis is back in this movie, played by Donald Pleasence. They actually did think that this was going to be the last Donald Pleasence Halloween movie, because at the end of this film, Dr. Loomis has almost like a heart attack moment when he falls on top of Michael. Hashtag that was not the Myers house. Let's cut to that Myers house. Okay, now let's cut to the original Myers house from 1978. What were they thinking? I know Dominic Hoffman-Gerard, he said that he wanted a big Victorian Gothic mansion for the events of the finale to play out. And you know what? The finale of this movie is great. Once you get past the Tower Farm and everything that happens between the meaningless characters of this movie, because there's so many characters that you just don't care about. Sammy, Spitz, Mikey, you don't care about any of these characters. They're really just here for fodder at this point. But the movie does pick up at the very end when Michael goes back to the Meyer house, but it is this big Victorian mansion, and you're like, okay, well, what happened to the Meyer house? Production had been moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where they filmed Halloween 4 as well. Now, Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 were filmed in Pasadena. However, it was cheaper to film in Salt Lake City, hence why Haddonfield gets moved. I understand the reasoning behind it. I think Haddonfield looks beautiful. However, I really do feel like you could have found a house that resembled the Meyer house a little bit better. In saying that though, the chase scene in this movie that takes place through the laundry chute is so suspenseful. Dr. Loomis is basically trying to offer Jamie up as a sacrifice. Jamie does not know that she's going to be the sacrificial lamb though. Things go ham in this plan. Nothing goes right ever. Poor Dr. Loomis, he is so over Michael and all of his shenanigans. He's so done with Halloween at this point. Jamie is running for her life. She is trapped in this laundry chute. There is some of the best suspense that you will ever see in this film. What I love too is the brutality of it. This is Michael Myers attacking a child. In Halloween 4 and Halloween 5, he's chasing his poor little 8-year-old, 9-year-old niece Jamie throughout Haddonfield, so they've established this continuity already. What did you think he was gonna do when he got to Jamie? Obviously he was gonna try and kill her. He's trying to stab her. And one of the deleted scenes that they had to delete because this was gonna go NC-17 was the fact that he does butcher her leg. The knife does go in through the laundry chute, and you can see blood as Daniel Harris is climbing out of the laundry chute. Best scene in the entire movie. Best suspense, love that scene. Alan Howarth comes back to redo the music in this Halloween. However, he has really been affected by Dominic Hoffman-Gerard and his choices in this film. The second you see the two police officers and they're marching down to Rachel Carruthers after she's convinced that Michael Myers is in her house, Dr. Loomis is saying, get out because Jamie's having a vision that Michael's there. Well, these cops start walking to Rachel and you hear this clownish music start to play. Just doesn't work for me at the end of the day. It knocks me out of the movie. I want my film to be taken seriously. When I'm watching a slasher movie, and especially that the other slashers to this point in the Halloween series have been serious, have been dark, have been gritty, then to come out and have these cop characters with this clown music, there's no suspense, there's no tension, it makes your movie seem like a joke. But I think Alan Howarth's score as the pumpkin is being carved over the opening sequence, as the highway massacre is playing out from Halloween 4, I think it's absolutely brutal and I love it. It was something fresh, it was something different. At least I can give a positive for that. Dr. Loomis is so unhinged in this movie. The fact that he's willing to sacrifice Jamie, this proves that he's willing to do whatever it takes to stop the shape. And you know what, at the end of the movie when he collapses onto Michael, you really don't know if that's the end for him or not. Of course, Donald Pleasence would have one more movie left in him for Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. There are some amazing kills in this movie. Michael is so creative. He's played by Don Shanks. The only complaint that I have is the mask. I hate that it's tucked out. I need his coveralls to be popped up because that's the Michael Myers that I want to see, but he's absolutely brutal in this film. He takes a hand scythe and starts killing people, a pitchfork. There is some really creative farm equipment kills, and that's because Don Shanks used to live on a farm, so he knew all this understanding of what he could do with this equipment. And the only thing I hate is when Michael finally does have Jamie cornered in this attic massacre scene that he's created, because he's trapped her in this haunted house. It's very much what he did to Laurie Strode in Lindsay Wallace's house, creating that haunted house with having Annie Brackett on the bed and the tombstone up and all of her friends draped like Halloween decorations. It's very much what he's done to this attic. You've got poor Rachel in the corner dead. You've got a coffin laid out for Jamie. She gets inside of it, and this is the part that I hate. They have Michael Myers cry. She looks at her uncle, says, "Uncle, let me see." There's a teardrop that streams down. I don't need to see that in my Halloween movie. It's okay that you showed Michael's face. My question is, why wasn't it burned? If his hands are burned, Why isn't his face burned? He did survive that hospital fire too. I think I just needed a little bit more continuity with it, but okay. But I don't need to see emotion with Michael Myers. And that leads me to the end of this movie. The end of this movie is a complete travesty. To have Michael Myers sitting in a jail cell with the mask still on as he's twiddling the chains, waiting for this unexpected Man in Black character who likes to kick dogs to free him. It was a little Scarface for me at the ending, and I wasn't here for it for that reason. And because they tried to pigeonhole the story of the Man in Black, they really put themselves into a corner when they had to make Halloween 6. And this movie did not do financially well at the box office. I mean, you had the home video release of Halloween 4 coming out that exact same time. This movie is premiering in movie theaters. It was just too much competition with itself. I think if they would have given this movie a little bit more time to breathe, if they would have had a better script, if they didn't utilize Dominic Othman-Gerard, it could have been a great film. We wouldn't probably have the same mistakes that have led to the Halloween 6 controversies of the producer's cut, or of the fact that we were led into the thorn of cult. But we got there anyways. That's part of the Halloween mythology, and I'm so glad Halloween has like a multiverse to it. For me though, this movie doesn't seem like a real Halloween movie. It seems like it's more of a joke of itself than a Halloween feature, and because of that, I'm gonna give this film a 6 out of 10. The mask is a huge step up from part 4. Hate the Velcro of it though. The acting with Daniel Harris and Donald Pleasance saves this film because I care about these two characters, because I've already had an emotional attachment of them to Halloween 4. But you killing off Rachel, the fact that we had that awful cop music that was playing that sounded like clown noises, the fact that this ending is a complete mess, that's why Halloween 5 is not really on my radar. I watch it to finish off the Thorn trilogy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't take itself seriously for me to take itself serious. It's a fun ride, and I guess if that's what you're looking for a Halloween movie, you just want a fun ride where Michael Myers is chasing the people of Haddonfield, then watch Halloween 5. For me though, it's just trying to be a poor copycat of what Halloween 4 was. And for me, Halloween 4 was one of the greatest sequels in the Halloween franchise. So Halloween 5, you didn't live up to my expectations. What did you guys think about Dominic Othman-Gerard's Halloween 5? Let me know down below. Next time we're going to be reviewing Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Hit that subscribe button to be notified about all of our upcoming videos, and smash that like button. Until next time, stay spooky!